Welcome back, Atlanta. We are back in studio recording, and I'm really excited today because we are celebrating women this month. Not just women, but we're celebrating trailblazers, trendsetters. This month, our theme is trailblazers, trendsetters, and transcending. And we're going to be highlighting people that are doing just that. And today I have an amazing person with us, a woman right here in Metro Atlanta that's doing amazing work. She's an author, a coach, a teacher. She is a motivational speaker and also a podcast host. And I'm really excited to have you. And so we have Lamekkiona King. Her name is beautiful. It's very unique, but I just want to make sure I got it right. So I had to write it down here on a piece of paper. But Lamekkiona, we're so happy to have you with us. You're such a jewel to the organization. I think you're also a coach with iRaise. So we're excited that you're here and sharing a space.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I was like, when I saw the email, I was like, yeah, I'm there. Whenever you need me, I'm here. So I'm super excited. Just thank you for shining that light on me. Thank you.
Yes, I love that. I love that. Absolutely. It's all about you. We're going to talk about Lamekkiona in just a moment. So I want to formally introduce her like I typically do in our podcast because I think it's important to highlight the amazing work of our guests. So Lamekkiona, she's the owner of Love is Beauty program, which is a program dedicated to Brown and Black women struggling with mental health and are unable to express themselves without feeling like they're weak or incapable. She's a first-time author of Why Her, Not Me. We're going to dig deep into her book today, capturing her life of being in different phases where she compared herself to other women because she wasn't sure of herself. She talks about a breakdown she had in 2021, and I think she'll share with us today, that really allowed her to start redefining who she is. She's also a mentor to teenage women, creating a space to uplift and educate young women in her community. So I'm really excited, Lamekkiona. Thank you for your story and just for being willing to tell it. I think that takes so much strength to be vulnerable and to talk about what you went through and to see how you've been able to turn that pain into so much purpose. So I would love if you can jump into like your story. Like, tell me more about that. What sort of led you to becoming this amazing trailblazer today?
Oh my goodness, it's so much that really defined me as the person I am today.
Yeah.
The main thing was, like I said, back in 2021, I had like a mental breakdown. It was like right after my birthday. I had just turned 25. And I'm like, oh, like, what am I doing with my life? I felt like I had no purpose. I kept going into different businesses, but I would never succeed because I didn't find that passion in it. I didn't find that love, that gratitude in it. And I'm like, God, just lead me wherever you need to lead me because I cannot take this anymore. So I came across one of my old, like, 2015 business plans. And I'm like,
wow.
And I'm like, I'm reading it and I'm crying because I'm like, wow. Where was this girl? Where was this woman? Like, I felt like I wasn't her anymore. So I was like thinking to myself, I'm like, I got to get back to this point.
Yes.
So the next day I went to Dollar Tree. I bought a poster board. And I was like, this is where I start my new beginning.
I love that.
So I just kind of broke it down because I kind of had a different mind frame, like a layout of what Love is Beauty program would be. But then like as I'm like, I'm mentally drained. I'm physically drained. I'm spiritually drained. So I was like, how can I contribute that to Black and brown girls?
Wow.
So then I broke it down to 2, 4, and 6 week programs. And then that is kind of how it just birthed into Love is Beauty program. As I'm writing and as I'm creating, I'm like, I feel joy. I love feel that. Happy. And I'm like, I've never felt this feeling. And I just felt like that was where I was meant to be. Yes. And I'm crying doing it as I'm doing it. I'm like calling my cousin. My cousin, she's talking to me. She's talking me through it. She's like, I'm so proud of you. Like, she's just uplifting me. So it really created. And I was going through a breakup as well. I'm like, I'm going through a breakup. I'm going through a mental. I'm like drained. So I'm like, oh my
breaking
God.
Down.
Yeah, I'm breaking down in every piece. And I had to really build myself up. And as I'm redefining who I am, as I'm writing it, I'm like, oh, I'm redefining every single point in my life. So that is kind of how the birthing of Love is Beauty program was created.
That is so, it's like, it gave me like goosebumps, like hearing your story. And I was like envisioning everything, well, at least as much as I can. So I was like envisioning you just like going through this moment in your life where your back was up against the wall and you were really trying to figure out where to go and what your purpose on earth was.
Right.
And it's so interesting because I feel like so many people are there, but they're afraid to say it.
Right.
Right? They're probably in a place where they're trying to figure out, why am I here? Especially women.
Right.
We deal with very unique issues as women, and it's Women's History Month, right? And so as women are more likely to deal with depression.
Right.
Especially Black women. We're more likely to be depressed. And so these are the things that I feel like we don't always talk about in our communities because of shame, because we feel embarrassed to say it. But there are real issues that are happening every day. And if we don't talk about it, what's going to happen? We're going to sweep it under the rug, ignore it, act like nothing is going on with us. Got to do what we got to do, be strong and keep on moving. Absolutely not, right? We have to be able to acknowledge and be able to be transparent and enough to say, I'm hurting or I need help.
And that's what was interesting. As I'm like rebuilding who I am, I'm digging deep to the roots. I'm like, what is the root? What is the root of why I'm here? And I was thinking to myself, I said, when did it begin that I felt like I had to be so strong that I couldn't break down? And I remembered that moment. I was 10 years old. My dad had just passed away.
Oh my
and
God.
I'm waking up to my mom telling us that our father passed. And I'm thinking like, oh my God, instead of thinking about what I needed at that moment, I thought about what my sister needed because she broke down so bad.
Right.
And it was so hard for me to grasp what just happened, but I had to be strong. So that is when I really defined where the root of where I was really struggling with trying to keep up.
Right.
And I was like, I got to get rid of that. I got to let go of that because I felt like the more that I brung a child into this world, and he's a boy. And I'm like, I cannot give him that kind of pain. I got to redefine who I am because if I bring my son up, he's going to be in that pain of his mother because she's trying to redefine herself. But if I can't redefine myself, I'm putting my pain onto him. And I'm putting my beliefs onto him, and he's going to feel like I have to be the strong man. I can't, have these emotions. So I teach him about meditation. I teach him about just really connecting with himself, affirmations. I tell him that when he goes to school. I'm like, he told me one time that really bothered me. He was like, Mom, I can't wait to be just like you. I said, no, baby, you're not going to be just like you. You're going to be better than me.
That's right.
You're going to be stronger than me because you are redefining the generation that's yet to come.
Yes.
And I talk to him just like that because I want him to know that Mom is not going to talk to you like a child.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, I'm here for you. And I want you to be able to talk to me about anything. Even though you're 5 years old, you have so much definition in your life.
That's right.
So, yeah.
Listen, it was an 8-year-old that was a king. So 5, come on, he could lead even in his age. But I love that. There's so much depth to your story. And even when you went back into your childhood and thought about when you were 10 years old and your dad passed away and what that was for you and your family and your sister, but you didn't really get to grieve. You really didn't probably get to be a child, right? But you had to hold up your sister. But I think it's really important because a lot of times I think that's what Black women are dealing with every day, Black and brown women.
True.
Right. We're the ones holding up our families.
Right.
We don't get to grieve. If we lose a loved one, we don't have time to grieve. We literally got to keep going. We got to keep working. We got to keep doing what we got to do to survive, right? But are we really surviving?
Right.
Are we really? Because we end up just breaking down eventually. So we're not even really surviving, right? It's almost like a facade. But I feel like so many Black women do it. We're carrying weights around on our shoulders every single day.
Right.
And we don't get a chance to really stop and be human. It almost dehumanizes us. So even you as a 10-year-old child, you really didn't get to grieve the way you should have. And that was essentially a behavior pattern that continued throughout your life. But I also believe that it's not your fault because it's society's fault that sees us as Black women who are strong. We can take it on. Let me tell you something. Any relationship I get in, I say I am not strong. Don't put that on me.
Right.
Don't tell me you're strong. No, I'm not. I'm a woman. I need to be taken care of. Listen, I have some softness to me. So don't be throwing the strength on me.
Right.
Because sometimes it's an excuse to throw a lot on us more than we could essentially bear.
I feel like that as well. I feel that like urgency. Like for so long, I was trying to be this strong woman, this strong provider for myself and for my child. And I think that's the biggest thing that I struggle with as a person, because I'm like, who am I outside of this? Right. Who am I outside of being a mother? I had to really pull off those layers, because I'm like, you know, I seen my mom go from being, you know, like once she had us and kind of building us up, like her dreams went away. They went away. It was never able for her to pull off those layers. Right. So it's like, for me, as I'm looking and I'm redefining myself, I'm like, how can I pull off those layers early in my life? Because the more that I allow time to go by, I'm really dimming my own light. I'm dimming my own self. And I'm like, how do I redefine that? And how do I pull off those layers? So I'm literally going back to the roots of every single thing. Relationships, friendships. Where was I the problem? And I think we don't want to say we're the problem in any situation. We want to be right about everything. And I think that's the biggest thing that I learned about myself, is that I had to figure out, what was I doing wrong? Because I can't keep blaming everybody else around me. I can't blame my mother. I can't blame my dad. I can't blame my grandma. I can't blame anybody but myself, because I, at the end of the day, put myself in this situation. So how do I pull myself up in this situation?
I love that, because you take your personal power back.
Right.
Because the thing is that we don't understand, when we are victims, we're giving away our power as women. But when we start to own it and say, wait, I have power over my life. I have power over my decisions. I have power over what can happen to me. I have power over my thoughts, right? Over my mind. I don't have to be depressed. And some of us may really deal with like mental depression and may need to see a therapist and so forth, but we can still determine our destiny. We can still determine what we want our life to look like. And so when we own up to our part, we really take our personal power back.
And that is the biggest thing. You have to be able to challenge yourself outside of anything else that somebody has challenged you.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I was doing. I was really challenging myself every single time. Like every single time I was pulling off a labor, I was like, I got to challenge myself even more, because I'm really getting to the roots. And that's what, it's like a never ending healing phase.
Yes.
It's like always healing and evolving. And even though you may have healed back then, it still can be something very triggering that can bring it back up. So I think that was, I feel like in the space I'm in right now, I say I'm always healing. I'm never ending. I'm always healing.
I'm always healing. I'm going to borrow that. I'm always healing. I think it's so interesting, because there are things that happen in our lives that are very traumatic, and healing is a journey, right? And so although I feel like there are levels to healing, right? And so we might be healed on one level, but then there may be a trigger or something that reminds us of that trauma, which then causes us to remember it. And then sometimes it starts to re-engage those emotions all over again. So healing really is a process, and there are levels to it.
Right.
And so I love the fact that you said, I'm always healing, because if we look at it from that standpoint, we open ourselves up to allow ourselves to continue developing and getting better and working on ourselves, and not saying I've arrived, but I still got some work I need to do. And so I love that. I'm going to borrow that now. I'm always healing.
Take it. No problem.
I love it. But, you know, I want to talk about your book. Your book was it Why
Her, Not Me?
Yes. I love that. Tell me about your book. What inspired you? What is it about?
Oh my God. It was so many things that inspired me. So at first, I always wanted to be an author. I used to want to be a journalist as a kid. So my mom was like, I always wrote her poems, my grandma poems,
I love that.
and things of like that nature. And then, like I said, as I was redefining myself, I'm like, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
Like, what is something you always wanted to do? And I thought about that. I'm like, you always wanted to write a book.
Yes.
So I started with just, what are the roots? I started each chapter. I just started with the roots of what, and redefining myself.
Right.
And like I said, I'm always healing at every point. So where I was when I wrote that book, I'm in a different space now. Yes. Where I was when I first wrote the first page, I'm in a different space now.
Yes.
So I think the biggest thing about Why Her and Me, Not Me was that was in my phases of not knowing myself. That was in my phases of really not knowing who I am and really not knowing my light.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking to myself, how do I show that to brown and Black women?
Yes.
How do I redefine what it is for us to be authentically us?
Yes.
How do I redefine what steps do we need to take? Because everybody wants to go to the top, but don't want to tell where it started.
Oh, yeah. Come on, like, say that again.
Yeah, because I had to go to the roots. So I'm like, let me tell y'all from the beginning.
Yes.
And I redefined it from the moment that I was in elementary. I told the story about when I was in elementary school, and I used to compare myself to people. It started at 8 years old. I remember the day because I had a friend that name was Devin. She had I'm talking about beautiful hair. And, you know.
According to what you define as beautiful back when you were 8 years old.
Yes. According to what I was like, she has beautiful curly hair and my hair is always like straight and stuff. And that was the moment that I started, comparing myself. And I'm like, how do I express to the audience to give them context? Because it's all about context.
Yes.
So I gave them every sense of context that I could remember. And I really went to, like I said, the roots of it when I was talking about in the book. So the main thing was just going back to the roots. When I was comparing myself. How did I get to this space that I am in now? Even though that's not the space I am directly now, but it's how it built me up.
Yeah. But I love that because I feel like our young girls do that, especially our young Black girls. But I think it's such a bigger picture, right? For me. The way I see this is societal standards of what beauty is, right? I was just reading something about Viola Davis. It was this morning. I had to recheck because I was up at 4 a.m. working. But it was this morning, and I was reading something about Viola Davis, and what she told was a story about, I think she was maybe around 6 years old. She had entered into like a beauty contest, but she didn't win. And so she always questioned, am I pretty? Am I beautiful? Right? And this was something she remembers, and I don't know her age now, but I think it's,
she's
over
in her
50s. Yeah. But remembers this moment when she was 6 years old and didn't win that beauty contest, right? And how it really took a blow to her self-esteem and her self-image as a Black girl. And I think these are the type of things that our Black girls deal with on a daily basis. 8 years old, 6 years old. How are you questioning, am I pretty at 6 years old?
That's true.
What does that tell us about the images that society, puts out there of what beauty is? So I am redefining, I think we have to redefine beauty and the standards of beauty as well.
That's important because I think that was what I was redefining as well. What is beauty for me? What makes me feel beautiful? I think I was looking so outside of the, like the layers of like just many different things. Like when you're pulling off the layers. And I'm like, what is beautiful for me? What makes me feel beautiful? Like, do I look I remember it was a time that I couldn't even look myself in the mirror.
Wow.
I would do this, but I would squint like just a little bit, but I wouldn't look at myself.
Wow.
And I'm like, why are you like that? Why do you not want to look at yourself? And I think we don't talk about that enough. Nobody wants to talk about the points where you really don't even want sometimes I don't even turn on the light when I go to the bathroom. And I think that's a moment where, we lack the confidence because we're like, well, I don't think I'm beautiful today. I remember it was a time that I would literally look down and I wouldn't look up.
Wow.
And I say, pick your head up.
That's right.
Pick your head up.
That's right.
Because why are you looking down? You are beautiful.
That's right.
Even the people around you, they don't have to see that you're beautiful, but you're beautiful. But I remember those times where I literally could not look people in the eyes because I didn't feel beautiful. And I think that's the thing where I have so much eye contact now. I'm like, it's like sometimes it's like weird, but it's okay because it's like, that confidence brings out the best in you. And it really moves mountains on people engaged with you because they're like, wow, I feel it. Like, I feel that confidence in you.
Yes. Yeah. I love that so much. Confidence is so important. But I think it's something that we struggle with as Black women.
True.
And it's a larger issue. Again, I feel like some of it is internal. Some of it are things that we're dealing with on a more personal level. But then some of it is on a media, societal level that we're seeing that's really taking a blow. Black women actually deal with self-confidence issues on a much higher level than other women, which is why we have like the See Her, Be Her coaching program, because it's designed to address issues that Black women are facing. and they deal with self-confidence issues all the time, not feeling competent enough, not feeling like they belong in spaces, even though they're probably the smartest, most intelligent, most brilliant person in the room, but still questioning their value. Do I feel, am I worthy? Do I belong here? I sometimes on my social media put these random posts up to women, and I say, dear Black woman, you belong here. Because we have to remind ourselves of that. We have to continue. We tend to question ourselves when we're in a room, for example, full of men or full of white women. We then start to sort of go inward and say, well, I don't know if I fit here. But we have to be able, like you said, pick your head up, confidently be like, I belong in this room. Right. And I know what I'm doing. Hello. Y'all need me. Let me tell y'all something, right? But but sometimes we have to learn that. We have to grow in that. We have to grow in that grace, and it's not always easy. So I love the fact that you have all these life experiences that are so rich, that's really helping our kids.
I think that's the biggest thing that I'm learning about myself is that as a mental health advocate, a coach, like so many different things, I have to pull off the layers. Yes. I can't go out into the world without doing the work.
That's right.
So that's me trying to do the work every single day. How do I pull off the layers so that I can give back to my community so they can see the impact, not just talking about it on social media.
Yes.
Let me show you. Yes. Let me show you how this can redefine my life. Like I really never felt so much joy in my life.
I love it.
Ever. I remember, like you said, going recently, I'm doing Instacart and I go into like this fancy like hotel and I'm thinking to myself, oh God, I'm so underdressed. And I'm like, whatever. That's fine.
That's right.
I walked in there like with my head up.
Okay.
Like I was about to put my head down. I said, no, you better pick your head up.
That's right.
Because what's wrong? Nothing's wrong with you.
Absolutely.
And I walked in there and they all look at me. And I'm like, yeah, hi, how you doing? And I just keep walking. And I think that is just me building up my confidence. I'm showing my girls that and mentoring. I've never seen so much light in a room. Right. Like they are excited to tell me the things that they did from the just the different, lectures that I did with them. And they're like, oh, Miss King, I did this week. And I'm like, I'm so proud of you. And they love it. Like it's a smile on their faces when I say, I'm proud of you. I gave one of my favorite girls, don't tell them you're my favorite. Paris.
She's probably listening, y'all.
I know, Paris, you're one of my favorites. But she did something. She said, thank you. And I said, no, thank you. Thank you for listening to me. And I just gave her the biggest hug. But that is where I redefine who I am. And that's how I keep building up onto the girls because I'm like, let me use my life experiences to help these girls.
Love that.
And they love it.
I love that so much. I got a Facebook message today from a young girl that really touched my heart. Her name is Jada. Maybe she's listening too. And I don't remember everything is said, but, I'm actually trying to pull it up. But one of the things that was mentioned, actually, here it is right here. She says, Jada, don't get me for this. Hi, Shanequa, it's Jada. And I just wanted to send a picture of me and you at my kindergarten graduation. I admire everything that you are doing to make the world a better place. And God is really using you to touch many lives. I won't ever forget the positive influence you were to me as a little girl. And she sends this picture where I look hideous, by the way. And she's 5 years old, so this had to be maybe about 15 years ago. And so she's a woman now, probably in her 20s, but sends this picture and remembers. And so sometimes, and Jada, I love you so much, and I appreciate that message, but sometimes we don't realize that our impact, right? Sometimes we think that, it's nothing. We're just talking or we're just showing up. But that means so much to a young person. That goes a long way. They remember those moments. They truly do. And mentorship, coaching, the benefits that it has on our kids are lifelong. So not just months, next year, they remember this forever. They remember the people that poured out into their lives. And I love the fact that you're doing that and that you're using your life as an example of this is what you can do. This is how you can turn your life around to really bring up the next generation.
I remember I received a message. I'm trying not to cry.
Oh,
and she says to me, you saved my life. I almost jumped.
Wow.
It really gives me chills. She said, something told me to watch your video. The videos, I don't know. God just told me to start doing 5 things I wish I knew about mental health.
Wow.
Don't know why.
Right.
Every time the words just flow. Like I said, I'm not really a organized person when it comes to writing it down, but it's like I just pray about it first.
Yes.
And God just speaks through me.
Wow.
And she says to me that you saved my life. I get chills every time I talk about it. And it's just like, wow. And it really uplifts me to keep doing what I'm doing.
Yes.
Because a lot of people ask me, like, what do you do? And I'm like, I just walk in God's will.
Yes.
Because I really can't define what God is putting in place in me, but I know it's in God's will.
Yes.
So that's why I've kind of got so many windows open, but it's like God wants to place me in many different directions, and I can't just limit myself to one direction.
That's right. I love that too. You empower, first of all. You motivate, you inspire, right? That's what you do. You influence.
Right.
But what I love about it is we're redefining purpose.
True.
Because we've been told and taught in school, what do you want to be when you grow up? That one thing. No, I can be that and more. I'm not limited to one dimension. I'm multidimensional. I have multiple gifts and various talents. And I want to show it to the world and give it back to the world. And so I love the fact that you're like, look, I'm not putting a title to what I am. And I deal with that too. Sometimes they're like, so what do you do? I'm like, yeah, everything.
Yeah, right. Multiple things.
I think, well, still try to define it, right? Because it changes also in seasons. You're evolving. You're always evolving as a person. At least you should be.
Right.
And so defining who you are or what you do sometimes is a little difficult, but I think we inspire, right? We challenge. We go against systems.
Right.
We are trendsetters. We're trailblazers.
Yes.
We're transcending times and eras, and we're redefining. We're reimagining.
Right.
That's who we are. Yeah.
So much power in that.
I love that. I love that. And I think we're almost at time. We actually are. We have like about 2 minutes, but I want you to take a few moments and really to encourage the young girls, the Black and brown girls and women that are watching right now that might be dealing with depression, or maybe dealing with some other mental health issue. If you can just take a moment and you'll look into that camera right there and just encourage them.
So what I want you guys to do is go to the roots. Begin with the roots. What in your life you have this depressed stage, but you get to redefine at any given time. Your mind can tell you that you're depressed, but you can challenge that belief at any given time. Depression is only a feeling. And if you look at it's crazy because I looked at my son's emotional things that look down to the roots. And depression is on there. And I thought about it, it's like, it's a feeling, not a fact. And you have to think about the difference between the fact and a feeling. Because as women, we are emotional beings. We are very emotional beings. So you have to get to the fact. Just because maybe at this point you're depressed doesn't mean your whole aura has to be depressed. That can just only be the feeling at the moment. And the more that you build on that and you encourage yourself, and I want you to like really encourage yourself. Like even I want you to look into the mirror and say, I am beautiful. And you will keep saying it until you believe it. I remember looking in the mirror daily until I got to a point where I could look at myself and love myself. And even if you have to cry it out. Get those emotions out because the more that you redefine yourself and pull into those roots and pull off those layers like I talked about today, that will redefine your life. That will pull you up in ways you never been able to be pulled up before because you're redefining your why. So that's what I want to say.
That was so powerful. I really felt that. I was just receiving as you were saying. I was like, well, I'm part of the audience too right now. But that's so powerful and it flows from you so naturally. It's really who you are. And it's so unique what you carry. And I'm just so honored that you're a part of our organization. You are now family, that you shared the space and that you encouraged our women because our women needed to hear that. So many times women are beat down, broken down by life, by circumstances. But to hear another Black woman encourage you, it hits very differently.
It does.
So I love that you said that. And yes, you can redefine. Doesn't matter where you are right now in life. It does not dictate where you're going to be in the future. So you have an opportunity to turn your life around. And that's what I Raise is all about. We help our kids, our families to turn their lives around, right? You don't have to be another statistic. And even if you are, you can turn that stat around too.
Right.
And so we just want to encourage our women, especially our Black, brown women who are out there struggling today, that you are loved, you are valuable, you are worthy, and we appreciate you. We love you. Keep on pushing and be encouraged. Be encouraged. We're transcending. We are transcending and we are trailblazing, and I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for sharing this space with me. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much, and I would love to be a part of the family. You all made me feel like family the first time I met you all.
You are family.
So I just want to say thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate you, and we appreciate all of you too for listening and for tuning in and for watching. This was such an inspiring podcast. I'm actually going to go back and listen to it a few times once the episode is released. But this was just so inspiring. And I hope that there were wisdom nuggets that you received from Ms. King today, because she poured out so much to us, shared her story. Please pick up her book. Where can they find a copy of your book?
It is located on Amazon. All you have to do is type in "Why Her and Not Me."
Amazing. Please pick it up. You support her. She's doing amazing work. We have to support women. It's Women's History Month. So please support her. Please pick up a copy of her book. I'll also be picking up a copy, Why Her, Not Me, because I want to read it too. I hope there's an audio version of it, because I probably want to hear it while I'm driving too.
I got to get that emotion.
It'll happen soon. And so again, happy Women's History Month to all of you. Happy Social Work Month. We love all of you. We love you, Metro Atlanta, New York, wherever you're watching from or listening to. Well, stay tuned. We'll be back next week. Thank you.